Hello and welcome to the Mal and Johnny Show. Our very special guest today is Elio Pace. He's currently on tour with the Billy Joel Songbook and he's coming to Cardiff this Friday at the New Theatre. Before we speak to the man himself, let's see him in action. So, Elio, you're coming to Cardiff on Friday, and this is the last date in this actual tour, which has been a nightmare, I suppose, with COVID.
Well, it has, and I'm so looking forward to coming to Cardiff. I've played in South Wales many, many times in my life. Once, actually, as piano player for Shakin' Stevens, which was at St David's Hall in Cardiff. Oh, my God, that was a great, great night. And actually, my girlfriend's family are from Llanelli as well. So,
there's a lot. Say it properly as well, which is good.
She's taught me, Johnny. She's taught me to say it. So this Friday, oh my gosh, I can't tell you. I am so excited, especially that you guys have done me so proud again, because I think there's about 40 tickets left there at the New Theatre.
Oh, fantastic!
And I've seen some of the responses of the previous 5 dates, and it's been astounding. It's been astounding. So we'll come back to the show in a minute, but can we go back, because we've got a little bit of time to share, if that's all right. Yeah. What a great name. Johnny and I were talking about it before we started. Elio Pace. I mean, what's your real name?
Do you know what? You're not the first person to ask me that question. Is that your real name? Is your name Bob something? Yeah. Is it Steve? It's actually Italian. And my mum and dad are both... My dad is from the centre of Naples, Benevento in Napoli. Wow. And my mum is from Lago Negro, which is about an hour and a half even further south, famous for being the place where Lisa Ghirardelli, who's the woman, the Mona Lisa.
Right.
She was born in my mum's town in Lago Negro. Obviously, 150, 200 years earlier, but, or whenever it was. It's Elio Pace. That's how I was christened.
Elio Pace.
Lovely.
I did gigs in Naples, in the NATO base.
Are you kidding me?
No, we used to do all the American bases in Germany, and they sent me down to Naples to do the NATO base, which was great. Yeah, and then I had to do another gig called the Bluebird Club, which is on the pier head, which is all sailors, which is a nightmare.
So what year was this, Johnny?
Oh, you're going.
Well, it was when Mona Lisa was born. It was the year.
Not quite that far back. I think it was something like 1969 or something.
Okay, now how did you find Naples?
Well, as long as you got your hands in your pocket, nobody's going to rip you off.
Say no more. My dad was brought up in Naples, and it wasn't an easy upbringing back in the 40s and the early 50s. And my dad said, "Listen," he said, "I want a better life than this." My dad always said that if he'd stayed in Naples, he would have been either in prison or dead. So he literally said, no, let's go. So they got married in Tuscany. Actually, the family moved to Tuscany. And then in the early 60s, they emigrated and made Britain their home. And I was born here. Yeah. So I have the best of both.
And a lot of music in the house? Or...
Yeah. I mean, vedo mare quante belle, spiro tanto sentimente, di mamme che tiene a mente, casperuto vai sonar. All of these beautiful Neapolitan songs. Mum and Dad would be making the pasta, both of them cooking in the kitchen, and the front door was always open. People always turning up for dinner. Come and sit down. We made some. You want some pasta? It doesn't matter. It was like that. Birthdays, christenings, Easter, Christmas. Yeah. There was always music in the house.
And so, Elio, come on, Elio, do a song. Come on, Elio, do a. Was it like that?
Yeah, that's exactly Elio. Come on. Do some Elvis. Well, it's the one for the money, a two for the... Okay. And then Mum would sing, Oi vita mia, o core, who kissed tu core. Really beautiful melodies that I grew up with.
The Italian songs, I mean, they translated loads of them. They got fantastic melody. Yeah. I remember I went to the gig in Monte Carlo and I had to sing an Italian song.
Which one?
Alla Vita, it was called. This is my life. Alla vita più bello della vita. Non c'è niente, that one. And,
you've got an amazing accent. Talk about Michael and Ethley. That was an amazing Italian accent.
I'm going to tell you a lovely story. The woman down the road from Sicily, she taught me the song. And when I'm singing, the waiter said, "Are you from Sicily?" Because I must have copied the way she said it.
It's perfect. But I've got to say, there's something about the Welsh and the Italians. There's something in the language, there's something in the way we place our tongues. There's a sound. It's very similar. The vibrato, the sonorous sound of the Welsh singing and the Italian, it's very, very closely linked, I think.
Now then, playing the piano, because we've seen you playing the piano in that little introduction. It's pretty amazing. But you learned, you're not a bluffer like me. You went to college. You went to Leeds, which is a great college for jazz and all that sort of thing. Is that the sort of music that you went to study?
Well, I went there because I was never going to be a classical musician and I wanted to further my education, but there was nothing much. There was Middlesex Polytechnic that did a light music course. That doesn't even exist anymore. So it was Leeds. People said to me, listen, Leeds do a jazz course. They teach you how to arrange, how to write harmonies and you get sing. So I went there. Now, truth be told, I didn't really take to it. The only thing, there was a couple of things that made me stay for the 2 of the 3 years, and that was my singing teacher, Val Bollard. I'd never had a singing lesson in my life. When I walked into my first lesson, the brief was, when you go to your first lesson this week, bring a song that you would like to work on. I brought with me I'll Never Fall in Love Again by Tom Jones, right? Which has that beautiful top A, fall in love again, which she said, okay, come in. Now, this was a fantastic, she was an Opera North singer and she was a brilliant teacher. And she clocked straight away that I was going to be spending most of my life at the piano. She said, right, come and sit down at the piano. I will do everything I need to do with your back and your shoulders are down and your breathing, all from the piano. So I started to sing I'll Never Fall in Love, and I went for that top A, and she screeched. She went, stop, you're going to kill yourself singing like that. She said, right, come and sit down. And she did all this pushing and pulling for half an hour. I said, now, think about this, think about that, do this. And then she went, now try it again. And at the end of the lesson, I went for that fall in love, that top A. And I nearly cried, and I nearly fell over backwards. I'd never had so much air passing through my lungs as she had taught me in half an hour.
Through the diaphragm,
She's exactly the diaphragm, holding it down, feeling like you're pushing. I'd never had any of this. She changed my life and she completely gave me my singing career, I believe. And I had 2 great years with her. And the other thing that was amazing was learning to write arrangements. There was a great teacher, Bill Kinghorn and Bill Charlson there, who taught me to write orchestrations for big bands and strings. So I didn't really advance my piano skills at Leeds. That all happened much earlier. I mean, I'd been playing the piano since I was 4 years old, Mal and Johnny. My dad got us a piano. It was a cheap little £5 piano from the local church. He stripped it down, painted it white. He wanted me to be Liberace, I'm sure. And that's what I learned on. And you'll love this as well. It wouldn't tune up to concert pitch. It would only tune a semitone lower than concert pitch because it was so old. So if I wanted to play along with Elvis Presley records or all the Jerry Lee Lewis...
On the black notes.
I was playing in F sharp, in C sharp, in flat.
Wow!
So I learned to play boogie woogie in F sharp.
Oh my goodness me!
God.
People don't understand that. That's
every sharp in the book.
It's like, oh my gosh! It was like every time I have to do something, I press a button, puts it into C. It's a bit like who is Irving Berlin? He had a piano and he had a shift on it because he could only play in one key. So he used to change key. He physically had to move the keyboard up and down. So
I did not know that. That's amazing.
Yeah. I think Stevie Wonder plays on the black notes a lot. I think
that's because of the physicality of being able to feel the grip.
If you can do that and then put it on a proper piano, I mean, it gives you, because they are lovely keys, aren't they? If you know how to play in them, that's why Stevie Wonder's songs sound so great.
Exactly. E flat for lovely warm ballads. A flat's a beautiful key. B flat, a lot of jazzers playing. But F sharp and C sharp, you sort of stay away. I actually had to play a song last night in a show a musical that I was doing last night. and it's a boogie woogie in D flat major.
Oh,
I mean, but there's something about gripping the keys. If your hands are sweaty, they can slip off, Yeah. But anyway, so I learned. So when eventually they upgraded the piano when I was about 11 years old, and I started proper piano lessons at 11. By that time, I'd learned to play almost everything by ear. And at 11, they got me a proper piano that would tune. So all of a sudden, I was playing in F. And that felt easy, and G, and that felt easy, and C. I was like having played in C sharps and F sharps, and and A flat, and so that's how my piano playing developed.
Obviously, you harbour desires to be your own man, your own song. So, and you get to Opportunity Knocks.
Born and working, lives in Southampton, Elio draws on his inherited Italian musical flair to present us with one of his own songs, "Take You Home." Opportunity Knocks now for Act number 6, Elio Pace.
We've been out and about all day since 2:30, and driving in my car is not what I planned to do. When I think it's time I told you, baby, black and white, I can't believe you'd wanna be alone tonight. So come on, baby, let me take you home.
And of all years to be in the final on Bob Says Opportunity Knocks, there's this bloke from Wales called Mike Doyle. I mean,
I knew my winning streak was over as soon as I heard that man sing. Mike Doyle. Well, we hit it off straight away. Our love of Elvis Presley matched each other, and we would rehearse for the show. But every opportunity we would find the spare piano and we'd be off singing Elvis Presley songs. We must have gone through the entire repertoire that week. Mike Doyle was amazing. He was amazing. He was not only funny, but he finished his song with "Till."
Yeah.
Till the rivers flow upstream. Yeah. And he hit live on BBC television. He hit that top C. Till then I'm yours. B, that's a no, he A flat, B flat, C.
Hey, now here's a little thing. Till, I think, was big song for Dorothy Squires, Johnny Tudor.
Yeah, she had a big hit with it.
Yeah, because Johnny Tudor used to live with her. Right. Used to live with Dorothy Squires. No, not like that. Obviously not like that.
Okay, I was going to say, right. Tell us, Johnny.
I did the Palladium with Dorothy back in the 70s when she made her comeback, and then I did the tour. But we always stayed at her house in Bexley. Because she's like, it was like open house, come and stay with me, And you never knew you were sitting next to. I was sitting next to, what was that guy with the fuzzy hair? Oh my God, he was added for murder in America. Phil Spector.
Phil Spector.
He was sitting next to me. I think it was Phil Spector. He knew everybody.
So Elio, you've got all these skills. You get to that. I mean, it's a disappointment when you don't win. Did you? Is that when you started working with other people, for other people? Were you able to keep your old solo career going at the same time?
I got signed up by a huge management company. Now, Johnny, do you remember Norman Murray and Anne Chudley?
Murray, yeah.
Do you remember Norman Murray?
Yeah.
He became my agent after Opportunity Knocks. Now, as you know, at the time, I mean, I don't know much about what he did before, but at the time he was looking after Michael Barrymore. Remember, this is 1988. This is the biggest.
Yeah, 235 Regent Street.
That's exactly it. And I remember
the same agent. Didn't have him, but I was in that group at the time.
That's amazing, because I remember at 20 years old going to London, walking down Regent Street and going into this incredible building. I was out of my depth. I mean, I was a green, naive boy brought up in Eastleigh in Hampshire, and I go in and I sign, and he's looking after Barrymore, Les Dawson at the time, the Roly Polies. Do you remember the Roly Polies?
Yeah. Tap dancing.
And the next thing I know, I'm on BBC television. I'm on Michael Barrymore's Saturday Night Out and flying over to Jersey. I'm on Wogan. I did my first Wogan appearance on his chat show, on that Monday, Wednesday, Friday chat show he used to have. I mean, they were I came sixth, but the next thing I know, I'm doing summer seasons with Michael, supporting Michael Barrymore. I'm on, and then Ronnie Corbett comes along, and I'm touring with Ronnie Corbett. I mean, it was quite an amazing thing. So, as much as I wanted to, Mal, what you're alluding to, having done my own song on the show, I kept sort of handing over a cassette and going, "Hey guys," to all Norman and all the people, "I've got some more songs," but they weren't interested. They weren't interested. Yeah. I was getting record deals offered to me by Telstar, KTEL, Elio Pace, winner in brackets, winner of Opportunity Knocks, sings the songs of Chuck Berry, sings the song of Nat King Cole, sings the songs of Tom Jones. And I turned it all down. Even at 2021, I knew I'm not going down this route. This is not the route I wanted. I loved the experience of performing in front of big audiences and television audiences and radio. I mean, I was, Brian Matthews around midnight, I was doing a live session for. It was just quite incredible, but I pulled myself out of it. I actually cut the strings and said, "Guys, I thank you for everything." But I knew in my heart I was dying. I thought, this is not the route I wanted. This is early 90s. And so I literally disappeared and took myself off to piano bars in Norway, just to realign myself and think about everything. And I'd had this incredible 2 years of national broadcast fame. Yeah. And where I was going, I wanted to be you, Mal.
You know the paradox of this? You're saying about singing your own song, which I can understand. When I did the Canuck Song Festival, I wanted to sing my latest record, which nobody'd heard of because it was brand new, right? So Huey Green says, "No, you've got to do Delilah because everybody knows it." And in the end, that's what gets the audience going. But I understand where you're coming from. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do what I wanted to do.
Yeah. It was almost like I had the gift of hindsight. I thought, hold on, if I start becoming this sort of entertainer, I'm never going to be taken seriously. No one's ever going to hear my songs. No one's never going to, and I mean it, Mal. What you did as a young man was exactly what I wanted. I wanted to be recognized for my own songs. Some of the songs I wrote then have since been covered when I finally got to make my album. They were good songs, but nobody nobody was interested.
No, I know exactly that feeling. All right, so but you've rediscovered yourself. You've reinvented yourself, and that's an incredible inner strength. I know, and Johnny and I know from personal experience, because you have these down moments, and then you pick yourself up, and you've got to this place now. I mean, those connections. The whole thing with Terry Wogan, those programs that you did week in, week out, when he wanted a house band, he came to you. And that was literally just wonderful, wasn't it?
Literally came to me. He called me. It was his son who was at the house. He'd had a chat with his dad upstairs, and he came down and said, "I've just finished talking to my dad, and Dad wants you to be his musical director." And I said, yes, straight away. And then he said, "Oh, I'm not finished." He said he also is going to push the BBC to make sure that they give you 3 songs every show to feature as yourself.
Wow.
Not just to back all these huge people, but he wants to hear you sing. He wants to give you this platform. I mean, you can't pay for that. No, you can't prepare. No. You can't prepare for that. I must have done something right for Terry. I tell you what it was. I think maybe is that he remembered me from 1988. I was this skinny little kid with hair, and I did a little medley. Here we go. I did a medley of Flip, Flop and Fly, One Night with You, and Don't Get Around Much Anymore. That was my medley. I wanted to do my own song. They weren't interested. So Terry really clocked me. And 15 years later, I bumped into him at a corporate do where I was being a dance band and just playing stuff for people to dance to. He was one of the guests. He came over and shook my hand, and he was like, "Nice to see you." I said, "Yeah, I'm still doing it. Still going." He said, "Oh, great. Then, pure coincidence, that son of his, Mark Wogan, married a girl who had been a backing vocalist a couple of times in my band. By sheer coincidence, she came into the gig and said, "Oh, I've got a new boyfriend. Who's that? Mark Wogan." I went, "Mark Wogan? You mean Terry's son?" "Yeah." I played for their wedding down at Terry's house. I then played for Terry's other son's wedding. And I think that's where he went, this guy is doing a lovely job of being a great wedding singer, but I can do something to help him. And the next thing I know, he's played out of the blue one of my recordings of a Delbert McClinton song called 2 More Bottles of Wine on his Wake Up to Wogan breakfast show. I didn't have a website. This record wasn't even available to the public, but he found it. He'd got it, probably via Sue, and he played 2 More Bottles of Wine every single week for 6 months. He would have had to get special permission from somebody, or maybe because he's Terry Wogan, he didn't. But I remember him saying at the beginning of that first play, "Now I'm going to play you somebody you don't ever hear on the radio, but this guy and his wonderful band travel up and down the country, making thousands of people happy, playing for all sorts of events, but you never hear him on the radio. We're going to rectify that. Here's 2 More Bottles of Wine by Elio Pace."
We came out west together with a common desire. The fever we had might set the West Coast on fire. 2 months later, I got trouble in mind. 'Cause Jenny moved out, she left me behind. But it's alright, 'cause it's midnight, I've got 2 more bottles of wine.
Okay, so that's all happening. I mean, this whole thing about playing a songbook, which is what this current tour has been about. Did you fall into that? Was that one of your plans to be, to do the Billy Joel Songbook? Because he's, I saw him in I think Edinburgh or Glasgow. It was fantastic. And now he does a local gig, doesn't he? He does the Madison Square Garden once a month.
Yeah, his local gig. His local pub, yeah.
So it's hard to see him. So to find somebody who can play those songs, play them well, with a great band, whose idea was it?
I fell in love with Billy Joel's music in the middle of the 1980s. It was, I was 16, 17 years old or something, and I just absolutely fell in love with this guy's music. I heard a song called This Night from the Innocent Man album, and that beautiful soaring chorus, which melody was written by Beethoven. And I just remember thinking, this song is just so amazing. And I fell in love with the music. And at that point, in 1987, 88-ish, I was thinking, apart from Billy, there's no one else singing Billy Joel songs. So I started doing these weddings, and I threw Tell Her About It in. Uptown Girl, The River of Dreams comes out in 93. I threw that into my set. And I always hoped that one day I would be able to do a whole evening. I don't know, maybe I'd organize it myself and I'd invite some friends and sing all these brilliant songs. I waited for 30 years. I went 30 years because I actually tried a couple of times. Laurie Mansfield, do you remember Laurie Mansfield?
Yeah.
Who was there in the same building that you're talking about.
That's
there.
Right. Yeah.
He was
international artist.
He managed
That's
Jim
it.
Davidson, and he managed Ronnie Corbett. And because I was working with Ronnie Corbett, Laurie Mansfield had seen me. I called him up one day and I said, "Laurie, can I come into your office? I want to pitch you an idea." And I went into there and I said, "Look, nobody is performing Billy Joel songs. Nobody. And tribute bands weren't a thing at this point." And I said, "I don't want to dress up, but I just want to sing the songs and tell the story." I did a whole presentation for him, about an hour at his offices. And he said, "This is brilliant, but you're 20 years too early." And he, almost to the month, he was exactly right, to the day that we started the Billy Joel Songbook in March 2014.
Goodness.
It's my passion, because I truly believe, present company excluded, he is the greatest singer-songwriter of all time.
Yeah.
I was mistaken for him once in a taxi.
Were you?
Because I had black hair in those days, the big leather jacket. And
I can see it.
And I'm in New York, and the guy says, "You Billy Joel?" I said,
Don't we all? The other thing that's been happening, Mal and Johnny, is that because of the success of the commerciality of the Billy Joel Songbook, which are all the hits, I mean, about 30 songs, and, about 25 of them were top 40 hits. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah.
People were saying, "Can't you do this song? Can't you do that song?" And there's no space to put it into a songbook show like that. So we started doing albums in their entirety, one in each half. In 2018, we did Glass Houses and Innocent Man. 2019, we did Stormfront and The Stranger. There's 12 of them to do. So I'm going to finish the set. We've recorded every show. So I'm going to release a box set of the Billy Joel Songbook album show live in about 3 years' time. What's beautiful about it is one day I had a brainwave. I went, because I was contacted by a guy called David Brown, who was Billy Joel's lead guitar player from 1978 to 91. He plays on everything from My Life to We Didn't Start the Fire, right? Uptown Girl, Still Rock and Roll to Me, dum, 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 dum. That's him. Contacted me via Messenger, having seen a couple of videos. Hey man, I really like what you're doing with Billy's music. If ever you're in the States, look me up. Give us a call. Be nice to hang out, you know. I called him. I said, David, how do you fancy coming to Britain and being part of an album show? And he said yes. And so we've had him in the band, and he's coming back in March, where we're going to pick up, because of the pandemic, we cancelled 2 tours, but we're back in March. We're coming to Newport at the Riverfront Theatre.
You're going to love it. Yeah.
To do Street Life Serenade and 52nd Street.
My favourites. Those are my 52nd.
Really?
Yeah, I loved them. Loved them. Still got them on violin in the corner of the studio here.
You're on the guest list, Mal. You're
right
on the
then.
guest
list. We're really looking forward to it. Johnny's my date. Yeah. Johnny's my plus one.
I'm his plus one. Yeah.
Thank you.
We're going to play out with a little bit more from the concert, but I'll joy to speak to you. And what I think is, you know, if you're still doing gigs with people that you were doing gigs with 20, 30 years ago, you must be an all right guy, because you don't want to work with people who were bad in the past. So there we are. There must be something about you, Elio, that's pretty special.
Well, that's very lovely of you to say. I surround myself with very, very talented people. Somebody once said, surround yourself with people who are more talented than you. And I think I have. Brilliant. And they've become my best friends. The guys on stage you will see on Friday are mates who I would invite to my house to have dinner.
That's brilliant. This is what we do at the end of every show. We say it's goodbye from him.
And it's grazie tanto from me.
Hey, and from Elio Pace. Hey, arrivederci.
Ciao ragazzi. Ciao.
Ciao bella. Ciao.
Ciao bello.